Once upon a time, in a beautiful kingdom, there lived a kind king and queen. They loved each other very much, but were sad because they had no children. Every day, they prayed for a little girl to bring joy to their lives. One day, while the queen was sewing by the window, she pricked her finger and saw 3 drops of blood fall to the ground. She sighed and said,
I hope for a daughter, with skin as white as snow, lips as red as blood, and hair as black as ebony.
Not long after, her wish came true. The queen gave birth to a beautiful baby girl, and they named her Snow White. She had skin as white as snow, lips as red as roses, and hair as black as ebony. The kingdom celebrated her birth with joy and happiness. But soon after Snow White was born, the queen fell ill and sadly passed away. The king was heartbroken, but decided to raise Snow White with love. As Snow White grew older, she became more beautiful, and her father was very proud of her. However, the king remarried a beautiful but cruel woman. The new queen was very jealous of Snow White's beauty. Every day, she would ask her magic mirror,
Mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?
Snow White, who lives with the 7 dwarfs, is the fairest.
Furious with jealousy, the queen plotted to get rid of Snow White. One day, she called the huntsman and ordered him to take Snow White deep into the forest and to harm her. But when the huntsman took Snow White into the woods, he couldn't bring himself to hurt her. Instead, he told her to run away and never return to the castle. Scared and alone, Snow White ran through the forest until she found a small, cozy cottage. Inside, it was messy but welcoming. Tired from her journey, she lay down on one of the 7 tiny beds and fell asleep. When the 7 dwarfs returned home from the mines, they were surprised to find Snow White sleeping in their beds. The dwarfs were kind-hearted and decided to let her stay with them. They introduced themselves: Doc, Grumpy, Happy, Sleepy, Bashful, Sneezy, and Dopey. Snow White was happy to be with the dwarfs, and they quickly became good friends. Every day while the dwarfs went to work in the mines, Snow White cleaned the house and cooked for them. She sang happily as she worked.
This princess named Snow White, black hair, red lips, skin so white, ate a poison apple from a jealous queen, was saved by a prince and got married. Ate a poison apple from a jealous queen, was saved by a prince and got married.
Back at the castle, the queen asked her mirror again,
Mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?
Snow White, who lives with the 7 dwarfs, is the fairest.
Enraged, the queen used dark magic to disguise herself as an old woman. She visited Snow White in the forest and offered her a poisoned apple. Unaware of the danger, Snow White took a bite and fell into a deep sleep. The 7 dwarfs found Snow White unconscious and were heartbroken. They placed her in a glass coffin, hoping she would one day wake up. Time passed, and one day, a prince from a nearby kingdom who had heard tales of Snow White's beauty and kindness came to see her. When the prince saw Snow White, he felt great sorrow. He leaned down and kissed her forehead. Suddenly, the spell was broken. Snow White opened her eyes, and the dwarfs rejoiced. Snow White and the prince fell in love and returned to his kingdom, where they ruled happily ever after. The wicked queen, upon learning that Snow White was alive and happy, was never seen again. From that day on, Snow White was known not only for her beauty, but also for her kindness and bravery. She and the prince ruled their kingdom with love and fairness, and the magic mirror was never asked about.